No, he's not redeemable. That's it. That's the video. Bye. Okay, but in all seriousness, the answer is still no, but here's why. Eclipse is the main villain in the Sun and Moon show. He's ruined everyone's life, but starting from the most minor things that he's done, he creates weapons and puts them in an area near small children. That probably breaks a lot of gun safety rules, I'm sure. He also constantly threatens a child. He's casually sexist and makes derogatory and insulting comments towards Earth. He takes over people's bodies, mainly Sun and Monty's. He murdered a guard. This leads to the government hunting Sun and Moon, but murder isn't actually taken seriously by the Sun and Moon show. He also kills Lunar and Solar Flare, which is a bit more serious than killing the guards because they were actual characters. He also kills Lunar in front of Monty, if I'm remembering correctly. He causes Moon extreme physical pain. Probably not as bad as a murder, considering Moon said at some point that he didn't really care and it didn't hurt him the way it hurt Sun when they shared a body. But the show's lore takes this more seriously than the actual murder of the guards, so he abuses his brother and tortures Sun and Moon. He's basically playing psychological warfare with Sun and Moon. He places a maternity chip in Roxanne's head to mess with Sun. He forces her to be a different person because Sun was fond of her. That's immensely fucked up. He creates Blood Moon with the intent of them being violent. He causes these two people to experience constant suffering, and the collateral damage of this has caused mass death. He forces everyone to hate Sun and Moon. He's trying to capitalize on a baby. He only ever uses people for his own gain. He created the Wither Storm. He's attempted to destroy multiple worlds just to try and kill Sun and Moon and is, generally, a huge dick. He shows no signs of remorse for anything. There is no reason for him to be redeemed. If you can give me one good reason for why he's done the things that he has done, then I'll reconsider my stance, but his backstory is just stupid and dumb, and it doesn't justify anything that he does. Everyone in this universe has abandonment issues. That doesn't mean Eclipse gets to subject everyone else to the same pain he went through. Moon offered to make Eclipse his own body, and he refused that. He's trying to constantly start shit with Blood Moon when he's allied with them and Kill Code. So he's also a horrible ally to have on your side. There's no reason for anybody to want to work with him or for him to be redeemed. Backstory also doesn't really add anything. There are other redemptions in media that are good and work because of the characters' backstories and the way that the current story was going and the actions that that character took. A lot of the redemptions that I have off the top of my head don't really fit, like, the crimes that Eclipse did. Like, it's not to scale. But the closest one that I have is IDW's More Than Meets the Eye Megatron redemption. Oh, hold on. Stay with me here. Megatron is the leader of the Decepticons. He's caused mass death and suffering for a lot of people. However, he had a reason for starting the Decepticons and starting the war. Well, I mean, I guess technically Optimus started it doesn't matter. Before, like, the whole Autobot Decepticon thing really happened, he worked closely with Optimus Prime, and he was a freedom fighter. Like, Megatron started out as a slave who, like, fought in gladiator arenas, and he was, the uprising of the Decepticons was trying to fix all of, like, the fucked up things that, like, Cybertron was doing because it had like a broken like semi-caste system. And the other characters believed in his movement. Like, Starscream was initially loyal to him until he betrayed his own ideals. Megatron wouldn't have been able to rise to power if his whole thing was, hey, we should just like kill a bunch of people and kill our own planet. Like, the Decepticons were in the right at the beginning of the war. They just, like, violence. And Megatron wasn't even violent at the beginning. He held peaceful protests until another character, Whirl, fucked everything up for everyone. And, like, he had a revelation where it's just, like, being peaceful isn't getting anywhere. So I'm gonna have to use violence instead. His redemption arc is started off by another character, Bumblebee, saving him when, like, the Decepticons and Autobots, even though the war was over, had to team up to stop Shockwave from destroying Cybertron again. And, like, Bumblebee dies, and, like, he convinces Megatron to show mercy on this, like, one dude. And Megatron is so inspired by Bumblebee that he's like, okay, I'm gonna be an Autobot. And, like, he still kills and abuses, like, his subordinates and the people around him. But he has to face a lot of the consequences for his actions. He's put on trial, and I'm not gonna, like, spoil how that ends, but, like, he has to face all of the bad and shitty things that he's done, and he learns and he grows. He becomes less violent as he, like, travels with, like, the Lost Light, which is the ship that another character is on. And he learns to be better. Eclipse might not have started a war or killed as many people as Megatron, but Megatron manages to be a hell of a lot more sympathetic than Eclipse because his backstory actually makes sense. And I like Eclipse. I think he's a good villain. I think as an antagonist, he works very well. But I don't think he should be redeemed. In fact, I think after October, like, that whole thing, that should have been where Eclipse's whole thing ended, because that seems like the natural conclusion to his story. The heroes won, and, like, bringing him back just felt kind of cheap. Like, they've already told this story before. Just generally, I think that the story, like, really peaked during, like, the whole like, Halloween arc. But that's, like, I think that the Sun and Moon show just needs to have less lore. Because the characters are just constantly suffering. And, well, except for Eclipse. Eclipse doesn't really suffer. I guess he does, but the only people that care are the people who think that he's hot, so, like, I don't care. It also doesn't help Eclipse that everyone around him is significantly more sympathetic than he is. Like, Sun and Moon have done nothing to him. Lunar didn't really do anything to him besides technically betraying him. Monty stopped him from, like, destroying the world. And that constitutes him watching his friend die, I guess. Roxanne didn't even know he existed. Like, she did nothing to him. And he completely ruined her life. For no good reason. He had no reason to do that. Besides just, like, getting one up on Sun. But even then, that his whole thing is a bad reason. He's very clearly the villain. And I don't get why people think he deserves redemption. He doesn't. He's not a redeemable character.